guess this is where we discuss our opinions on the Rebirth storyline. Hey, Mark?
Yeah. So, there's 4 of us here. There's Josh.
Hello.
Mike.
Howdy.
Me, which is Mark. Hello. We are supposed to have another guy. He's Rory. He wasn't able to make it today.
Voice not found.
Yeah, voice not found. And we have our editor, Avery. He might talk sometimes. I don't know.
Well, we're sure he has opinions as well.
Yeah, I'm sure he has opinions as well. I'd just like to bring up an interesting fact before we get going. I, the one who is very country, did not say howdy, but the one who works in a comic book store did say howdy.
And who's from the East Coast.
East Coast, yes.
Never been on a farm.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, we all have our quirks, I guess. But yeah.
So we this is the first month of Rebirth, so we decided to all read the Rebirth special and then split up the titles that are starting this month. I think it was mostly like 2 titles each, except for Josh for some reason.
Yeah, I've got all of September, so
Yeah,
I'll enjoy my one for now.
I also ended up somehow getting 3 titles, one of which I could not read because our store sold out of them so quickly.
Yeah.
So that's on me for...
It sold like a Flash.
Yeah, yes, the title that we are referring to, of course, is The Flash, which was unexpectedly popular. I'm not saying The Flash is not a good book, but what I am saying is that I was not expecting it to go out as quickly as it did. Oddly enough, also Action Comics, which traditionally not a good seller.
But I did get a chance to kind of read through the Rebirth special for The Flash, so I can cover that.
All right. Next time I promise I'll get the book.
But number 1...
Well, you'll have second printings in by then.
Yeah, I should have second printings in probably in about a week, so I could probably do like a caveat or a special edition, here's what I thought of the Flash thing.
Yeah,
the next time.
But we're going to mostly focus this one on the Rebirth special, which Mike presents, even though it's not visual.
Called Flare.
Flare. So, what did you guys think of it?
Yeah, overall, I found it very, very good. I thought it was very well written. Of course, I mean, if you look at the writers they put on it, obviously DC wanted to come out of the gate strong. They put some of their strongest writers on it, like Johns, Van Schreiber. Actually, I think Red Chartis is an artist. But there was a lot of talent on this book, and you can clearly see that when you look through the pages. What did you think?
I think it was like one of the best books I've read actually in like maybe a couple of years.
Well, single issue, I'll give you that. It's probably one of the strongest single issues I've read in a long time.
Solid, like 9.8.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's pretty high up in there. Josh, what did you think of the book?
I was really enjoying the art as I was going through it. That's one of the biggest things for me, is just as long as the book has good art, I can read it. So for me, it was amazing. Like, The Flash is one of my favorite male superheroes, but I don't know. Wally West isn't really a big thing for me, so I wasn't too thrilled with it.
Sorry, you started reading The Flash when it was like Barry Allen, wasn't it?
Yeah, I started reading with Barry Allen, so just not a huge fan of Wally West, but I'm glad they brought him back. He was in New 52, but his cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go into that a bit more, I guess, later.
Yeah.
One of the things I'd like to say too is I really like the some of the story direction they chose to take, where they talk about the interactions between characters and how they're not as the same as we had remembered, and that they finally draw attention to it, which they never really did in the New 52. They were like, by the way, here are some characters. We're not going to point out that it's different. We're just going to be like, these are the characters now. Deal with it.
It seems like that whole time when like everyone was like complaining, like this isn't right. You should bring back these things and all that. It's like I guess DC was actually listening.
Yeah, it kind of seemed like that they had a plan for this. The way it's written, it seems like they had a plan all along, and this is one of the. They're just kind of showing you, hey, look, like we knew this was coming. We knew we knew that there'd be some pushback on some of these issues, so we kind of had a plan in place for if/when the New 52 ended.
But that's really just what you get for Johns. Johns is great. He's everything.
I will give you that. He's very talented in combining what we had with what we have and making it into what we want.
Yeah, that's why they've now put him in charge of the movies.
Yeah, he is now creative. I believe he's creative director for DC's film department.
Yeah,
I think he still is also for comics.
I think he's development for comics, though. Yeah. I don't think he's head writer anymore.
No, he's not a writer. He's just the head of the creative division.
That's awesome.
Or something like
so
that.
Good.
So he just maps out everything.
It kind of seems to me like he walked into the boardroom. They're like, okay, we're going to give you a promotion to head of creative direction of comics. And he walked in, just kicked the door open, and was like, Rebirth. That's what we're doing. Everybody's getting Rebirth. And then just walked out. Mic dropped and walked out.
Every time somebody would be like, what is Rebirth? He just constantly, Rebirth.
It's Rebirth, man. Like, didn't you read Green Lantern? Come on, guys. Rebirth.
Yeah.
Flash. Rebirth. Come on.
Yeah. But I, for one, whatever Johns puts out, I'm behind it wholeheartedly.
I have to concur. There's a lot of things I never thought I'd be reading. Great example was Aquaman. I spent many years making fun of Aquaman for being a man in orange tights who talked to fish. And then when he did his run on the New 52 Aquaman, I was on board. And it embarrassingly became one of my favorite books. I'd eat a lot of crow on that one.
I think this might just turn into Praise Jeff Johns, the podcast.
Well, to be fair, at the beginning it's going to be, you can't talk about the Rebirth without talking about Jeff Johns' contribution. It just is what it is.
So I could talk all day about that Green Lantern stuff we did.
That's true, but we have to move on from that. We can't just spend the whole time talking about what Jeff Johns has done. We need to talk about
what he's planning to do.
What he will do.
How about what DC is doing, not just Jeff Johns? I mean, yes, it's really
DC
hard.
DC and Jeff Johns are synonymous with
I know.
each other.
It is hard to separate Jeff Johns and DC because of his
Blackest Night, Infinite Crisis,
Flashpoint. Yes, exactly, because of all of his contribution to the company. But, I mean, there are other writers in DC, as we clearly see.
Apparently you really like Dan Abnett's Aquaman.
I do.
So we'll just start off. I've made a few points that probably be just interesting to talk about. So the return of Wally West. I don't think Josh doesn't seem like he was too on board with it. He doesn't seem like he's against it either, though.
I like the New 52's Kid Flash. I was wholeheartedly behind that, simply because I love the Teen Titans title, at least the first part of it. So I'm a huge fan of speedsters. I'm not a huge fan of all of them. So I love the Flash, Barry Allen as the Flash, not just whoever's wearing the Flash mantle. And I love New 52's Kid Flash, who is, what's his name?
Bartholomew.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He's from the future.
Yeah, the future one.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing too. I'm a big Marvel guy, and I mean, I love the X-Men, but I don't love Skin. I'm not a big fan of Cypher. There's a whole bunch of those guys out there.
Or the classic ones.
Yeah, there's a lot of characters that you don't always like all of them, and that's kind of the burden of having to be a comic writer. Sometimes you're going to be writing a character that not a lot of people like.
Like Guy Gardner.
I beg to differ. Guy Gardner is a solid character.
Or the killer of titles.
Yes,
OMAC.
We of course cannot talk about DC titles without bringing up OMAC.
Fair warning, if OMAC appears in your title is doomed.
That is very true. Just a couple of lists of titles that OMAC has showed up in that did not succeed would be, first, of course, OMAC, which lasted a grand total of 8 issues. Followed quickly by Frankenstein, Agent of Shade, which lasted, I believe, 12 issues. And then Justice League International, which lasts 13 issues, 14 issues, including the 0 issue
and
annual. All right, so 15 issues then, which he then killed. The title was gone.
So luckily, he's not in this Rebirth title.
Yet. Nothing is stopping him.
I haven't seen him, at least. Maybe he's hiding in the ark somewhere. Let's do a quick scan.
Well,
None yet.
Yes,
we're good. We're good.
Let's get back to that Wally West thing, though.
Yeah.
I was I'm a big fan of it. I kind of like Wally West. I didn't really read a whole lot with him in it. Most of it was just some Justice League stuff, the old Justice League cartoon, and Flash Rebirth that I've read him, but what I've read is usually stuff that he's in with Barry Allen, and they have like a good like back and forth usually most of the time, and I'm kind of excited to see him back. He has like a cool new redesign for it as well, where he has this dark crimson suit. It shows up late and not in the Rebirth special.
No, it shows up in the Titans Rebirth special.
Yeah, I think it's the Titans one where you see it. And he's not Kid Flash, he's just Flash and all that. But the best thing that I think they did is they actually made him actually look very different from Barry Allen.
Yeah.
Because the suit is like a dark crimson, but like the top of his head is still seen, so you can like see his hair and all that. Because like before the New 52, they just had like the same costume essentially.
Yeah.
Except their like belts were different.
Well, I mean, what's the point of running real fast if you can't feel the wind through your hair?
Yeah.
Friction.
I suppose.
Speedsters don't feel that.
Yeah, they kind of defy the laws of physics. And besides, comic books are no place for reality, Josh.
I think they're the best place for reality.
I personally liked the Wally West in this. I have to admit, though, that my knowledge of DC pre-New 52 is unfortunately lacking. But
mostly Batman, probably.
A little bit of Batman, a little bit of Superman, actually, to read. But mostly Elseworld stuff and Superman, Batman by Ed McGuinness was actually a really big thing that I liked. Loeb and McGuinness, yeah, that's the first few, and then it was Loeb and somebody else. But anyway, that was my favorite of the books that I had pre-New 52. But, saying that, I thought the way they presented Wally West and the way he was written, I think the character really comes alive on the page. I love how desperate everything seems, and it actually kind of makes you... It does pull you in and makes you feel those things as well. And that's the sign, obviously, of a good writer, and the art helps a lot with that. You can see in this panel, I just actually have the book open here, and there's a panel where he's talking to...
His wife.
His wife in the previous incarnation, Linda. Thank you, I can actually see it right here. Linda, and he's talking to her, and he's got this look of relief when she appears to recognize him, but then as soon as she says that she doesn't know who he is, there's just this overwhelming look of pain and disappointment as he gets pulled back into the Speed Force. I think it's just so well written and well drawn that it does draw you in like that.
Yeah. Another part that I also love, like it shows he's real desperate, because he's not going only to like his friends and fellow superheroes. He's going to his the villains. Like he goes to Captain Boomerang.
Yeah.
Like
he talks to Cyborg. He tries to talk to Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
And none of it seems to be working.
Mm-hmm. Who else does he visit? He also visits like a JSA member, which brings up another cool thing.
Oh, he talks to Johnny Thunder.
Goes to Johnny Thunder and tells him to find the JSA, which, if they do, that would be great.
Yes, Mark is, of course, a very big fan of classic Golden Age heroes and of the JSA in general.
Dr. Fate, man.
Okay. Dr. Fate is the only one in there that I really like.
I have to say, I really like the Dr. Fate redesign. I'm not a big fan of the blue hoodie, gray pants, and gold helmet from the DCU Dr. Fate. I have to admit, I didn't read the title, but the character design kind of put me off just a little bit.
Yeah, it did. And the art was alright, I guess. It looks weird, but...
One thing about this issue that really shocked me was that I didn't actually know that Aquaman and Mera were not married.
They were married before the New 52.
Yeah, and then in the New 52, they had a kind of... Their relationship was a loving relationship, but it was a little more distant.
Oh, okay.
It kind of seems like they were at the beginning of the relationship, more so than that they had been together for a while.
Sort of like they lost 10 years?
Exactly, which of course brings up another point in the book. They talk about how Wally mentions how someone has taken 10 years from them.
It's probably Big Blue.
It's probably Big Blue, yes. Mark, of course, is referring to a sketch put out by artist Scotty Young for the week of Rebirth, because if you'll remember, Rebirth and Captain America, Steve Rogers' Captain America #1 came out at the same time. Both had big reveals, and so Scott Young put out a sketch where it's Dr. Manhattan holding a cup over his genitals, talking to Steve Rogers, who has the Hydra symbol on his shield, saying, "Hey, big week, eh?" So.
What else was there? Oh yeah. It seems like Jeff Johns wants to bring back the Legion of Superheroes again.
Yeah, there's I think it's a half-page.
It's like a page and a
splash
half,
panel.
actually.
Yeah, where they're talking about
Is that the ring?
Yeah.
It's the ring.
That's the ring in the evidence bag?
Yeah.
Yeah, someone's like interrogating someone, and they reveal like some evidence that they have, and it's one of the Legionnaire rings. But I know like online and stuff, people have been like, oh, they should bring the Legion of Superheroes back. Oh, it's not DC's not worth reading without the Legion of Superheroes.
You could be wrong.
I think that
I don't. I know a lot of people will probably be happy. I don't really care.
well, to be fair, the Legion of Superheroes title in the New 52 was a decent seller for us, but near the end of its run, its numbers did decline. Like, it was, people still wanted it, but it went from like 10 people getting it to like 5 and then like 3. So while it was kind of popular, people were dropping the title. I guess they were just kind of getting tired of the story in it or something like that. I personally have never read it.
Yeah, but I think when that was still coming out, people were so upset. Like, this isn't what we want.
Yeah, there was a lot of flack that DC kind of caught, and a lot of hatred, or not, I wouldn't say hatred, but a lot of grumbling from fans over the New 52. I've actually talked to a few people.
Fans.
Yeah, people who've been collecting for years were like, "Oh, I don't like this direction they've gone with Superman. I don't like hipster Superman and that kind of stuff."
But everyone loved Batman.
Come on, you got Snyder, you got Capullo. What's not to love? Kind of very.
See, Lantern was good till 20, usually. Really.
You and your hate on for Vendetti. Vendetti's a fine writer. He just undid a lot of the stuff that Jeff Johns did, and therefore you're bitter.
Yep.
I don't know. I thought Vendetti's run was a solid 6. It's hard to follow a giant. The problem is when you have a writer like Johns, when you have a writer like Wade, when you have a writer like even Bendis, and then they have to change and go on to a different project. Sometimes the guy they bring in doesn't write the same way or doesn't write at the same level. It doesn't mean the book's bad or the writer's bad. It's just it won't always appeal to everyone. And of course, Mark is suffering from the Jeff Johns withdrawal symptoms of Green Lantern.
Yeah, sort of like the symptoms I suffered at the Gail Simone end run of Batgirl.
Yeah, when Gail Simone left Batgirl, that was...
Josh, had a stroke.
Also, he wasn't a big fan of the costume at first.
I wasn't a fan of the art.
Yeah.
Felt like I was reading an Archie comic.
An Archie vibe.
Babstar, I don't think, had the greatest talent for that book. Maybe for Harley Quinn, maybe, but
yeah.
Well, they had
for Batgirl.
They had Pomali on Harley Quinn. They realistically couldn't give that guy up.
Just give a new Harley Quinn title.
Batgirl and Harley Quinn.
Sounds horrible.
It does, actually. Doesn't sound very good.
Can we talk about Pandora?
Yeah, that's actually something that I wanted to put on the list. So there's a really cool scene where Pandora is yelling at the cosmos about, you can't find me, you're not going to stop me. And then she kind of gets exploded in blue light. And obviously, for those who've already read the issue, I mean, it's been out for a month at this point, they know that the blue light represents Dr. Manhattan from the Watchmen. But what the whole scene kind of represents, in my mind, is DC's way of appeasing the fans. Because when they did New 52, Pandora was kind of the face of that whole movement. She was she was around the entire time. If you read Flashpoint, she's at the end of Flashpoint. And she's the one talking to Barry Allen and saying that this is your fault, you did this. And then she appears during the Trinity War. And the panels, actually, Mark had just showed me a picture of it on his phone. The panels in the book mirror very similar the death of Rorschach at the end of Watchmen. Sorry, spoiler alert, even though it's as old as I am.
It's probably been talked about a couple times
Yeah,
or so.
but yeah, so spoiler alert at the end of
From a little
Watchmen,
comic from
Dr. Manhattan kills Rorschach. Anyway, he does so in a very similar manner to Pandora in the book, and I think that it represents DC's way to appease the fans about all the grumblings they had in New 52, because they kill off Pandora and is basically saying, hey, don't worry, we're never doing the New 52 again. You don't have to worry about that. We've killed Pandora. Check it out. Boom.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it's still the same characters from the New 52.
They don't need to know that. But it's not the same style of characters. Like, there's a lot more changes. So, I don't know. I thought it was really cool. They're like, this is the end of the New 52, and it's done.
It seems like it makes their characters younger again, but they're developing back into the characters that you know.
Yeah.
Except for Superman, he's old still.
Well, that's
it's
because
the same Superman.
It's the pre-New 52 Superman.
Oh yeah, there's throughout. I think it was just the last little bit of Superman, or it was Lois and Clark Superman. There's a character called Oz, Mr. Oz, I think his name was, or something.
Yeah.
And people have been like talking about who he is and what like his role is and everything. And it seems like he's trying to guide the pre-New 52 Superman to be something better. But we're not too clear on what his motivations really are. So a lot of conversation is like why he wants Superman to become better and like what's he doing kind of thing.
I think he'll definitely be a character to watch. I think there's going to be some really cool stories that are going to come out around this.
Oh wait, is that panel there? That's Oz.
The guy in the green cloak there with the weird looking scythe.
Oh, okay. I thought he was just like some generic Superman villain.
He kind of reminds me of like Father Time a little bit. He's got that kind of vibe.
One thing I've heard of, I don't remember where I heard it, but someone was saying that they think it might be Ozymandias.
Well, it could be, but it's really hard to determine his features and that kind of stuff because he is so cloaked.
Yeah.
Who's Ozymandias?
Just from the Watchmen. Josh hasn't read Watchmen.
We're not going to hold that against him. Ozymandias, well, you are. Okay, so Ozymandias is the main character of Watchmen. He's one of the big ones. He's basically the Batman of Watchmen.
He's the smartest man in the world.
He is the smartest man in the world, and his powers come not from anything other than just an extreme training regimen, just like Batman, if you will.
Oh, okay.
The difference is that he's also, while he's a lot like Batman, he's also a lot like Lex Luthor. He's very megalomaniacal. No, that's not right. He's big and brainy, and he believes that he's better than everyone, but he wants the best for the world.
Oh, okay.
So it's his plan in Watchmen that causes all the death and destruction that leads to the better world at the end.
Oh, okay.
Which remains to be seen.
Yeah.
They never really made a sequel to Watchmen.
Which is also another thing is that, I guess we should have brought this up earlier.
Wow.
The Watchmen are in this.
Yeah, they've so far included the Watchmen now in the DC universe, which I think is really cool. Like, I mean, that gives us avenue for some cool character interaction. Because I mean, obviously all of them can't be there because
some of them are dead.
Well, actually, a lot of them are dead. Come to think of it, Rorschach. Some of the best ones. Rorschach's dead. The comedian's dead. Dollar Bill, because he could have been cool.
I'm sorry, I have no knowledge of the Watchmen, but these are horrible superhero names.
The comedian is really cool because his whole shtick is that he believes life is a joke, just it's not funny.
Oh God.
He's think the Joker, but depressed and less chemicals and crazy.
There's also something that I was reading. It was pretty silly, but they were talking about that the Watchmen universe is actually just something that's in the DC universe, right? And it's like it always has been, and that at one point I think it was like in some comic that was saying that the Joker was in every multiverse, and that in the Watchmen's universe that the Joker was the comedian.
Okay. Yeah, the comedian's whole thing is that everything is a joke. It's just that the punchline isn't ha-ha funny, it's tragedy funny. There's a great scene between him and Dr. Manhattan. So Dr. Manhattan actually has the ability to control matter. It makes him not only the most powerful character in the Watchmen universe, it also makes him one of the most powerful characters in the DC universe as it is. And at one point, they send both Dr. Manhattan and the comedian to Vietnam to kind of help the boys out. And the comedian, being the comedian, has had an affair with a local Vietnamese girl who he then impregnates. At one scene, she shows up in the bar and attacks, he basically says, "We have to do something about this." And he says, "No, we don't. I'm leaving in a couple of weeks. It's kind of your problem." To which she gets angry, responds by smashing a bottle and stabbing him in the face. To which he responds by shooting her in the stomach, killing her. And Dr. Manhattan watches this whole thing go down. Now, he acts like completely surprised and horrified.
Like a normal person would.
Yeah, he's like, "No, Edward, stop!" But he doesn't do anything about it. And Edward, at that point, then laughs at him and says, he's like, "You could have done anything. You could have turned the gun into the bullets into steam, or the gun into snow, or you could have teleported us both to bullets to Mercury and the gun into steam, or whatever it was, and you could have teleported us both of us to Mars or the moon, but you didn't. You just stood there and let it happen." He's like, "How is it's just funny that the man with the most power does nothing. That's the joke." And he kind of throws it in his face that he could have stopped it but chose not to. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of the comedian's vibe. That's how he is. And now that the fact that they kind of let that universe leach out into the rest of the DC universe, I think is really cool.
Mm-hmm. But it was I think it was in like 97 or something. DC wanted to no, it wasn't. In 97, I think it was. Alan Moore wanted to have like the rights back to Watchmen and all that, and he also wanted to make a sequel and a prequel for it. I think with whoever the guy was who did the art.
Dave Gibson.
Yeah, Dave Gibson. Good American artist too.
Yeah, actually.
But DC, I don't think had like much of an interest at that time to do it, so they just were like, "We're not giving you the rights back," and no. But it was like, I think it was 2009 or something, where they actually approached Alan Moore, like after the movie came out and all that, and asked him if he would be interested in making a prequel and then a sequel for it. And then they were like, then Alan Moore was like, "No, I'm not doing that anymore. Well, if you asked me this 20 years ago, I would have done it."
Well, Alan Moore is kind of an interesting duck in the fact that realistically, if you leave him alone long enough, he just divorces himself from all of his work. He was, I don't want to quote because I don't think I'm getting it accurate, but he was paraphrased as saying when he was informed they were making the Watchmen movie, he said, "That's good for them, but I'll never see it. They can never do it the way I want it done," something along those lines. It'll probably be a great movie, but it won't be my movie. It won't be my book. So, and I mean, he's notorious for just divorcing himself from his work. He wrote V for Vendetta, and then years later he was like, "No, that's crap." And then he wrote The Killing Joke, and he absolutely was like, "No, that's garbage. Why would anybody want that?" kind of thing. So he's great. I mean, I love him. Don't get me wrong. I love Alan Moore. I've read some of his work. I've read actually quite a bit of his work, and he is my beard inspiration. I want to someday be at the same level of wizard / Mall Santa beard that man.
Oh, is that the guy from?
Yeah, that's the guy from the picture I showed you, where it's Alan Moore, Mall Santa impersonator, wizard, comic book writer, Rasputin impersonator.
Oh, okay.
But the reason why I brought this up is because a couple of years ago they did release technically a prequel for the Watchmen called Before Watchmen.
It was a series of, I think, I want to say
books.
six.
I think it was, yeah.
It's,
6 or 7
it's
books.
8, because they included, every book had a small chunk of the Corsair, the Crimson Corsair.
Yeah.
So they released that as a separate book as well. So it's in 4 hardcovers with 2 stories in each, and they were between 4 and 8 issues long.
Yeah. And I bring this up because DC did want a sequel for Watchmen, and I believe that Rebirth is actually going to be their sequel for the Watchmen. But they're going to include the rest of the DC universe with it.
I think it'll be pretty interesting. I think it'll tie. I think where it'll start is in Titans, because the way the storyline looks like it's going in there is they're trying to hunt down the man who took 10 years from them.
And then I think later, probably not this year, but maybe next summer for like their big event, they'll actually probably conclude or come to the conclusion of this Rebirth thing.
Yeah.
And have the DC universe confront the Watchmen, or maybe even just Dr. Manhattan.
Speaking about DC in general, I love when they do theme months. I love that September is always a theme month. Well, actually not always, but the few years in a row it was villains, and then it was Future's End.
Convergence.
And then, they had the Convergence thing where it was all just specific Convergence stuff. And I gotta say, like, I really enjoy that. I think it's a nice treat for the fans. They get to see something in the stories they don't always get to see. Like, we get to see what might happen 5 years from now. Or we might get to see a story about the villain, because those are rare. And I thought it was really well done in the New 52. And I'd like to see them do that again in Rebirth.
Yes, except this time would be every May.
Yeah, I suppose, because that made sense. They kind of started up in September last time.
Because that was for the New 52.
Yeah,
this time, if they keep doing stuff like that, it'd be for Mays.
Well, it also will keep them competitive with Marvel, because Marvel tends to launch their summer event in May, April-ish as well. So.
So I think we're going to start talking a bit more about the single issues, if you guys want.
Yeah,
that sounds good.
Okay, so
Where should we start?
Go alphabetically.
No, that's too hard.
That's fair. What do you mean too hard? It's action, then Aquaman, and then Batman, and then...
Do I look like I know my alphabet?
Like he said, too hard.
Yeah, fair enough.
Avery, did you get around to reading Action in DC?
No, I'm literally just working on it right now.
Okay, so we'll do those ones last. So let's start with Batman then.
Okay, so I had the pleasure of reading the Batman Rebirth special and actually issue 1 of Batman as well. And I have to say, I was actually very impressed overall in the 2 titles with both the writing and the art direction. The first issue, of course, was shared between King and Snyder. And it features a story basically that kind of mirrors DC's own idea they've got going on, a story about Rebirth. It talks about Calendar Man and how he's actually managed to speed up the seasons, causing himself to regenerate. And he molts his skin kind of like a spider, which they have a panel of, and it's damn terrifying if you ask me.
I feel like Snyder had a hand in that one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Snyder had a hand in that one. Yes. And of course, it continues on the storyline from We Are Robin a little bit, and
with Duke Thomas. Right?
Yes, they bring back Duke Thomas as kind of a new Batman associate. Not so much a Robin as he is almost like a Batman in his own right, kind of harkening back to the Batman Incorporated days, where his Batman's all over the joint.
I think you might not get it right away, but there was a thing in Scott Snyder's run where it was usually in visions or like alternate futures or whatever. We'd see Bluebird a lot, right? Mm-hmm. And yeah, she's a thing now. But there's also the other character that was in the yellow, and he was Lark. And I think that's probably who Duke Thomas is going to be. It's like very...
His bat suit is very yellow with a big black bat on it. And
Sounds horrible for stealth.
You might not want to be stealthy. It might be the distraction.
Exactly. Look at me. Aim at me. My suit's made of armor. And you have,
That's never a good call.
Of course, you have the tree.
Kicking apart a tree?
Yeah, they're doing the same thing that Batman was doing in Batman Year One, where they're training by kicking a tree until
legs break.
Legs break, or the bark strips off, whichever happens first. In fact, at one point, Bruce Wayne remarks that the tree is winning. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a solid book. It doesn't tell you too much. It gives you a little bit of a story and kind of gives you an idea of which direction they're heading in. But it doesn't give you too much. It leaves you wanting more at the end. So moving on from the Rebirth special to the first issue. Titans.
I forgot.
Was Rory supposed to read
Rory? So what was going on is Rory was supposed to read Detective Comics, Action Comics, and the Titans special. But he's not here because he unfortunately had to work today, and we were facing like a deadline for this month, so
Yeah, we wanted to try and get this out
at the end of the month.
at the end of the month or as early into July as we possibly could.
Yeah, so
Anyway, so like I was saying, back to the Batman issue 1. The storyline is really interesting. It's basically just your stereotypical Batman story where they talk about what's going on in Gotham a little bit, and then there's a crisis and Batman snaps to it. But what's kind of interesting in this one is the art style. They've gone to the artist who did Dark Knight originally, who started off doing the art for Dark Knight. And I have to say, I really appreciate that. I really did like his art a lot. I think they got different colorists this time because the color scheme and the ink looks a little bit different, but it's all very enjoyable. I have to say, love the new Batsuit. Love that new symbol. It's awesome.
Yeah, the symbol is awesome.
Oh, it's so good. And they don't show it as much here in this one, but if you look at the Detective Rebirth special, they've changed the outside of the Batwings to actually look like Batwings, and it makes... If I were a criminal and I saw that, I would actually be a bit more scared because it makes it look more like an actual...
If I was a criminal and I saw a man in a bat suit, I would probably be scared of that too, though.
That's fair. But I mean, in our reality, if I saw a man in a bat suit, I'd just shoot him because he's probably not actually Batman.
This is Canada. You say sorry first.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know if it would work, but, we'd have a hell of a time trying to get a gun because it is Canada. But anyway, the story overall is really good, and we do still have our polar bears. And the at the end where they introduce the two new characters who show up on the cover of issue 2 and
Gotham and Gotham Girl.
Yes, Gotham and Gotham Girl. It's a decent hook. I want to know more about these two. Honestly, kind of goofy-looking characters.
They kind of remind me of Superman, too.
They do. They kind of have a Superman appearance and Supergirl appearance about them. But on top of that...
Wait, can they fly?
Yeah, they seem to have the Superman suite of powers, except they haven't shown the heat vision or ice breath. But they do have the flight and super strength. So, maybe they have the Wonder Woman suite of powers.
I was totally misunderstanding what these people were.
Me too. I'd only seen them on the cover of Detective, and they just look like normal dudes. But if you... I don't know. It's really interesting because they've got this kind of like steampunk 1920s vibe. If you guys can all see that,
it's like a gray.
I was expecting a lot more of a Knight and Squire, whatever they were called.
Knight and Squire. You're right. It is Knight and Squire.
So like people with no powers.
Yeah, people with no powers who were
competing with Batman.
Yeah. Well, not competing. They were actually Batman.
They were incorporated,
so they were part of the team. But yeah, no. But these guys.
No, but that's like what he expected, though.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I expected.
But it leaves an interesting hook, and it does draw me in. I do want to know more about these two. Like I said, frankly, goofy-looking characters, but.
Have they brought up who they actually are yet? Or
no, not at all. Literally, you see they appear at the bottom of this page, lifting the plane out of the water, and Batman remarks, "Clark," as in, "Hey, Superman, you're saving my ass again." And
then, Batman versus planes.
To be fair, he did put out a call to the Justice League, and nobody got back to him. And then in the next panel, you see them.
What terrible superheroes!
Well, they were all fighting monsters.
Your call has been forwarded to TELUS voice messaging system.
The person you're trying to reach voicemail is full. Yeah. Damn it!
You can't answer your phone and fight the same like a bad guy at the
you're
same time.
Superman, for God's sake! Why can't you do that?
Thank God I didn't call the Flash. He'd be late.
Which always is awesome that the Flash is always late. A man who can run faster than any other man in the world is still always late.
Actually, probably would never call Green Lantern because he's always like, "Yep, I'm on the other side of space."
Oh, sorry, I'm fighting death itself. I'll have to get back to you.
I'm being powered by death itself.
Yeah, that was cool. I really like Black Lantern and Green Lantern. But anyway, enough about my love of Green Lantern.
Let's go over to my Green Lantern.
Well, we'll transition out of that. I just want to say that overall, I am enjoying King's
I'm
writing.
Talk about Superman first, then you can talk about Green Lantern.
You're interrupting Mike.
Yeah, I am enjoying King's run on Batman so far. I'm looking forward to reading the next few issues. For sure, definitely recommend. You should probably check it out. It's good.
Any cons though?
I haven't. I like a lot of the stuff. The Batmobile. I am really not a fan of the new Batmobile. It looks very, very much like the animated series Batmobile, which was really cool for that art style, because it was like that art style was a very 30s Art Deco style. But this doesn't have that. This has most of the art, with the exception of the Batmobile and Gotham and Gotham Girl, is very contemporary. I mean, Gordon's even back to his trench coat and mustache, but the Batmobile just kind of feels a little bit out of place.
Wait, the cartoon being Batman the Animated Series?
The original one from the 90s, yeah.
Oh, okay.
That really long, elongated, like, cigarette boat one.
Yep.
It looks a little updated. They put armor on it, but it's got that same big bat
Thank
face
God
on
they
the
put
front.
armor on it.
Well,
Yeah.
If I could have a Batmobile, that's the Batmobile I'd have.
Oh, to hell with that.
I'd have the 2004 the Batman cartoon series Batmobile.
Oh, you're all wrong. I want the Batman Superman Batmobile that has guns.
Oh, you're right. Okay, that one.
No guns, no killing.
Well, except unless you're Batfleck.
Yeah.
Some guns, no killing. Alright, so moving on.
Moving
We're
on.
going to talk about Superman. Josh only has one title. He wants to get it over with, so I'm going to make him wait.
Oh, editing. Get over it.
Just put Josh right at the beginning before we talk about Green Lantern. It'll just be his review of Green Lantern.
So I read Superman and the Superman Rebirth stuff. It's written by Peter Tomasi or whatever his name is.
I think it's Peter J. Tomasi.
Yeah, something like that.
Wow, you didn't even write down the name.
And
I didn't write down
the artist was Patrick Gleason, right?
I don't know. Let's see if I can get a copy of it off the table over here.
Yeah, I was going to do this Titans thing before this, but it turns out we don't have any Titans. We sold out of it. Again. Superman.
Yeah, written by Tomasi, art by Gleason, except for the Rebirth was Gleason.
Manic.
Manic and Mendoza.
They just had like everyone Green Lantern on this.
Well, you know.
Because like the golden age of Green Lantern, these guys all worked on Green Lantern Corps. So, but the Rebirth special covers it picks up right after Superman 52, where Superman died. If you didn't know that happened,
Spoiler
he's
alert.
dead.
Superman died.
I don't think we said spoiler alert at the start of this.
No, but we did say it right
Something
before
like
Watchmen, which is hilarious because Watchmen was published in 1985, and I was also published in 1985.
I wasn't.
I don't think I've ever been published.
So, so yeah, like the first page, it just covers like what happened in pretty much the final days of Superman and Lois and Clark. So,
as I love to refer to it as Lewis and Clark.
yeah.
Yes, Josh has a problem saying Lois for some reason.
So it pretty much just says a story of New 52 Superman visiting the grave of the New 52 Superman, and
That is the most confusing sentence ever.
yeah, this is not a straightforward thing. It's weird. I don't even know how the pre-New 52 Superman's there. I just accepted it.
There's a customer that comes into the store on a regular basis and does discuss Superman on a regular basis. According to him, and according to what he's read, he's actually always been there. Him and Lois have just always been there and have always kind of like kept an eye on things and make sure that the smaller end Superman villains don't get too villain. They expose them first and get them arrested before they turn into real problems.
But I still don't know how he survived the Flashpoint. But yeah, the issue just kind of starts off with the old Superman visiting the new Superman's grave, hoping to like do what happened to him when he fought right after he fought Doomsday and put him like in the regeneration chamber. But when he goes there, he finds Lana trying to take his body. I think she's trying to do kind of like the same thing, but she doesn't really know what she's doing. So most of the issue just retells you what happened with pre-New 52 Superman. So it's like, he fought Doomsday, he died, this is how he came back. And then it goes to them, and they go and try to figure out if in this universe or world or whatever, there is a regeneration chamber, and it turns out there isn't. So for the time being and all that, New 52 Superman is dead. He's not coming back, at least for a while.
Sad
So,
face.
While Superman's looking, like the pre-New 52 Superman's looking around, this is like one of my favorite things, is in the Fortress of Solitude, there's a picture, there's a picture depicting two statues. One of them is his Kryptonian parents holding up Krypton, and then there's another one where it shows the Kents, and they're holding up Earth. And Superman makes a remark, it's like, he honored both of them, and then after he accepts that that Superman's not coming back, he makes a statue of Superman holding up Earth with the Kents and all that. And just a really nice moment I found. I really liked it. That was the Rebirth one. I really liked the art. And yeah, this one was Manic. Manic did a lot of Green Lantern, so I'm just a big fan of that.
Is there anything that you didn't like about it?
That was just pretty much just telling you the story of Death of Superman.
Yeah,
that's all it really was, but I guess a lot of people who have just read the New 52 don't know a whole lot about that.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword.
Another thing is that this is DC Rebirth, and so it's a good point for everybody to start reading it.
Yeah,
like if they're getting into comics, they'll start, if they want to start reading, they'll start now. So they need to know a little bit of what's happened before.
Which, in my opinion, is the only upside of Marvel's constant restarting of their titles, is it always gives people new jumping-on points.
DC is a little bit harder to jump in sometimes.
Well,
like, I'm trying to get someone to start reading Green Lantern.
Well, I mean,
I have no idea where to start.
Rebirth. Rebirth is not this Rebirth, but the original Rebirth is always a great one.
When I
mean,
first read that.
like, look at this. How, as a new comic reader, would you feel if you're like, oh, I want to start reading action comics or detective comics, and you pick up the newest issue and it says 935? That's a mind-bogglingly high number.
No, it's the funny part. Next year, they'll want to read action comics. It'll be 1012. They'll be like, oh dear.
Yes, they'll pick it up and be like, whoa. And just kind of have this big bug-eyed look as they realize I've got 1,000 issues to read to catch up.
Good luck getting your hands on that.
Look, yeah. Oh, I want to read the first issue of Superman.
So, yeah. So, Superman #1 is also one I read. Really good. I'm liking the Superman.
Who's the writer on that one?
This one is Tomasi as well.
Tomasi as well.
Yeah. This one just has Gleason on the art.
I think they just switched up the artist for Superman.
Which I love both these artists. If you can't tell already, I'm a big Green Lantern fan.
If I were a Green Lantern fan, I wouldn't believe it.
So yeah, it just kind of starts with Clark. I don't really remember this one too much. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. It seems that they did take his body and they buried him with his parents. The New 52 one.
Well,
and it's just him,
left
like,
of his body. I mean, if I remember correctly, he was pretty dusty.
Pretty much just
he was suffering from kryptonian poisoning, kryptonite poisoning, and while he was fighting this weird energy being, it basically made him burn out. He burnt out like a candle or a piece of wood. He turned into almost like an ash, and the only thing left behind was his cape.
Yeah, this one starts off with Superman like saving some farm animals from a burning farm, and then it turns out his son is watching him, and it's like super happy because his dad's Superman. Just how cool would that be? Your dad's Superman. That probably means you have superpowers too.
Well,
okay, yeah. That part is cool. Like,
yeah.
Man, I probably have these powers too.
Yeah.
Sweet. When I grow up, I'm gonna punch monsters into space too.
Yeah. The only time you don't want Superman to be your dad is if he abuses you.
When it's spanking time, it's a bad time for Superman to be your dad.
But yeah, it later shows like them just having like normal family stuff. You know, your dad lifting concrete blocks on his one shoulder and stuff.
Normal family
things.
Oh yes, I remember the concrete block lifting days with my father too.
But it goes on to follow his son Jonathan. I think that's what his name was. Yeah, I didn't really.
Did they say John?
Yeah.
I know
follows his son.
I know it's not John Lane Kent and it's not Connor Kent. It's a different.
He's playing with his cat and stuff, and a hawk comes in like trying to get it, and
does he strangle it?
No, it's something much worse happens.
Oh God!
The emotional intensity of what was going on triggered his heat vision, and he just blows up the cat and the bird.
Oh, he kills his cat?
Yeah,
Yes.
the cat kind of falls to earth as
Poor-
a smoldering skeleton of...
Poor Goldie.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's a little... Very speeding bullets, actually.
Like I went into this comic being like, oh, it's just going to be about his dad going to be like, now son, don't use your powers for bad. And no, it's more like, no, you need to learn how to control your powers, kid. You just killed your cat.
Makes me worry about Superman's early days before he was all righteous and
But
good.
an interesting thing
Used
is
to lift tractors.
like I think it's their neighbor's kid sees that he just laser visioned his cat. And she just stands there like, what did I just see?
She's just like, man, I need to breed with that thing so my kids can have these powers.
Yeah. And then
I don't think everybody thinks about superheroes in the terms you think about superheroes.
I think everyone truly does think about superheroes the way I think about it. Just like,
Eugenically?
yeah, eugenically. Like, my children need to be better, stronger, faster.
Oh god.
I think they're supposed to send moral messages.
Yeah, they're not supposed to be Aryans. It's not supposed to be that kind of...
Yeah, but then later it continues and she's like, his son, Superman's son, and meets up with his dad, and his dad notices something's like kind of off. Yeah, and
He's got that I just barbecued my cat look.
yeah, and later like
Wouldn't he have heard the cat die?
It's really weird.
Superman just chooses not to listen a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Um,
When it's... Never mind.
and the neighbor girl comes over, just to talk to him, I think. And yeah, she like delivers some milk, apparently. Apparently they still have delivered milk.
Well, they do live in small town Kansas, I think.
Yeah, see, look, it's like...
I know, the glass
Marty's
bottles.
milk.
It's awesome.
Yeah, then she just brings them milk, and then they have like an awkward scene together. And then they have a conversation about maintaining like secret identities and all that.
That is not the best way to keep your secret identity.
No,
No,
the girl leaves.
he means Superman and his son.
Oh.
Superman and the girl.
Superman, the neighbor.
Alright, so now I know you know my son's got powers. You better not tell nobody. That's right, ding run along.
And then later, at night, he's kind of like crying, probably like because he killed his cat. I'd cry if I killed my cat like that.
Yeah.
So the cat cried for a second or two.
And he sees Batman and Wonder Woman talking to his father.
Just in small town Kansas?
Well, they're like in the back. It's dark and all that. And actually, this is probably the creepiest like panel I've seen. The Trinity. It's Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, but their eyes are just terrifying.
Oh god, what the hell's wrong with Batman?
Wow. Yeah, they've got this weird shadowing going on in their eyes, and Batman...
I think they might
he
kill
looks
him.
scared. Yeah, Batman looks like he's about to kill Superman's kid. Is that your son? He needs to be an orphan.
Orphans are stronger, better, faster.
Parents make you weak.
Superman, I need to kill you. I need to make your son more like me.
Oh, that's not what I want. I don't want Batman raising a Superman.
And
That does not sound like a good day.
yeah, they noticed that Jonathan was watching them, and then Superman comes in. It's like, quickly and quietly, you're coming with me. Which sounds like a Terminator thing to say.
Come with me if you don't want to live.
But that's the end of it. Seems to be like a pretty interesting thing. Apparently next one we'll probably get introduced to Eradicator because it says next eradicated.
That's some brilliant detective work you got going on there, Mark.
Yeah. Told you I'm Batman.
Oh, I'm choosing not to
You
believe
are
it.
about the poorest Batman I've ever seen, actually.
Alright, now because Josh is starting to get excited, we should probably move on to the Green Lantern title.
But
Green
Superman.
Lanterns.
Sorry, Green
Superman,
Lanterns.
whole team of Green Lantern Corps. Good read.
Okay, so this month I had the honor, I'm going to say honor, because
That is an honor.
I got to read the Green Lanterns, there's an S at the end of that, Green Lanterns Rebirth special, and the Green Lanterns Rebirth #1. I'm going to keep
The more you say it like that, the more it sounds like there's an S and a Z and probably another Z somewhere in there.
So just to be clear, I really don't like Green Lantern. Like,
Blasphemy.
I know, like, I am very much give me the violent heroes, the anti-heroes,
I can get you the last Green Lantern Corps stuff.
I'm very okay without it. Like, I'm Red Lantern. Let's get some rage in this stuff.
I have to admit, the Red Lanterns, it was a great read.
Yeah, the Green Lanterns, or not the Green, Red Lanterns was a great read.
New Guardians.
Especially with the Red Daughter of Krypton. It's perfect. All right, I should actually get into this. Okay, so obviously the Rebirth special was written with Jeff Johns and Sam Humphries. Art was by Ethan Van Sciver. I want to say Skeever.
Cyber sounds cool.
Cyber, yeah, sure.
Skeever, he's a giant rat.
Yeah, so Jeff Johns, Sam Humphrey, and art by Ethan Van Skeever. So the start of it is...
Rock joints.
Oh, what's that?
Where to get rock joint.
Yeah, get your rock joint. Ha, Skyrim. Good one, Mark. Good one. Alright, so the start of it, again, I'm not a huge Green Lanterns fan, so I'm sad to see a new Guardian. We have Atrocitus seeing a vision of the near future, and something's going wrong with my voice here. I'm getting deeper.
Just hitting puberty.
Yeah,
Puberty affects us all differently.
Yeah, puberty at 21. God, does it suck. No, not actually hitting puberty. I'm past that. So we have Atrocitus seeing a vision of the near future. He's talking about and I quote, a guardian believed to be lost long ago, and that he is carrying a guarded sacred box with a mysterious ring with something new, something of his creation, and something forbidden. It's something I don't like, but okay, we'll get into it. I don't know even what to say about this.
It seems very interesting.
Yeah,
because he has like this box which has a rainbow coming out of it.
Yeah, a rainbow coming out of it.
It's probably Skittles.
Or a new pride movement.
No, I'd like to think that the Red Lanterns are fighting over a box of Skittles.
You're right. I like that idea too. Taste the rainbow. Not an ad for Skittles.
Yeah,
we're not being sponsored.
We here at this particular comic podcast do not endorse Skittles in any way. But you know what they say, Josh?
Unless they give us money,
one of the
then we
boxes
will.
worth 10 in the bag.
One of the boxes worth 10 in the bag.
If they give us money, we'll start endorsing them. They probably won't give us money.
I'm willing to sell my soul to Skittles.
I think that's what the one guy did in the commercial where everything touched turned to Skittles.
You ever held your newborn granddaughter? Because I haven't. Anyway, let's stop talking about Skittles.
I really want to now.
Where's it go now?
It goes to Simon Baz, I believe his name is. Yeah, Simon Baz. And he's cleaning up his garage door because somebody spray painted terrorist on his garage door, which I'm kind of interested in. I never thought of a Green Lantern getting called a terrorist.
It has to do with more of the fact that he
was a car thief, and he accidentally stole a car with a bomb in it.
Yeah, he didn't know the bomb was in it, but he ditched it into an abandoned factory.
Oh.
And it went off, and so they thought it was some sort of terrorist plot.
Oh, so it's not because he's a Green Lantern, it's just because he's a bad...
Well, it's because he's Muslim and a car thief, and he blew up a building. So they just go, oh, terrorist.
And the reason why he's a car thief is because he was trying to raise money for his brother-in-law who's in a coma.
Yeah, his fault too as well.
Yeah, because
what a
they
great
were street
guy.
racers too.
Yeah,
so he's not the brightest of the bunch.
But he is.
He's also lived a hard life as being a Muslim in
a post 9/11 America, which DC actually has had a 9/11.
Okay, so is he on probation then? Is that why there's this?
No, that's actually a guy that in Jeff Johns' run near the end of it. That's when he was introduced. It's Simon Baz. There's a government agent that actually arrested him.
And then the Ring found him and smashed him out of jail.
So pretty much
God.
that guy's like his government contact kind of guy.
Think,
sort of like a probation officer.
Yeah, no. Think Steve Trevor for Wonder Woman. That's his Steve Trevor, and he's our
Except
less
they're
attractive.
probably-
Is he dating this
Except
government
I don't
official?
believe so.
No,
No,
I don't think they're going to hook up. Although DC wants to appeal to
Everybody really.
that, so
Maybe.
might.
Never know. So yeah, we have his government official saying he missed its check-in.
'Cause I think he's also supposed to be kind of spying on the Green Lanterns or something.
Yeah, it appears so. He's doing some sort of work with him. I'm not sure. It doesn't really go into it all that
'Cause,
much.
you know, the government and all that. They
Yeah.
want to know everything. Apparently.
Government.
Yeah, governments. And then it moves on to, what is her name? Jessica Cruz, who I am a huge fan of simply because she is a woman in the DC universe, and I am very biased towards them. I pretty much only read titles with women in them.
Which is kind of weird.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. I'm not sure why. It's just my obsession with Batgirl. I'm really liking her as a Green Lantern. I think she's gonna be a really cool one to kind of read alongside. Like she brings up that she has like extreme anxiety. She seems like a very social outcast and whatnot. So it's like I feel it's a weird choice on the Lanterns or the Green Rings part for choosing her, but.
Well, clearly she's overcoming it because she's outside and.
Well, the reasons that she's outside in this public place is because she got kicked out of her apartment.
Oh.
Yeah.
She's forced to.
Yeah, it's not a choice, it's a get out of this place. Green Lantern's horrible to rent to, apparently.
Yeah. How, like, first issue of New 52, Green Lantern, Hal Jordan got kicked out of his apartment.
It turns out if you are a space cop with no
Actual job.
no actual job, people don't like you.
It's like being an actual artist.
Shots fired. Shots fired. Must have went to school for art.
I wanted to. And it just felt like it was a waste of money.
Alright, so both her and Simon get an alert on their Green Lantern rings, and they go to investigate, and it turns out to be an escaped manhunter. So Simon, not knowing who Jessica is, calling her rookie, says he'll take him down, and immediately gets his ass kicked because manhunter.
Yes, Manhunter. That is a very good reason to get your ass kicked.
Yeah. Jessica seems to actually have more effect on the manhunter than he does by actually hitting it. Simon kind of, well, I guess he's a rookie as well.
It's kind of weird, though, because this issue makes Simon seem kind of like a bitch, but in the issue 12 of Green Lantern, where Simon gets his ring and shows off his power, he actually manages to do something that no other Green Lantern has ever done. He brings somebody back from basically brain death to full speaking life, which is really outside the purview of the Green Rings. And Badge was very, like, holy shit, no one's done that. So it's interesting to see how different writers treat different characters.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure they're going to address that at some point, that he might not actually be like a great fighter for the Green Lanterns, but he like has unique abilities that other people don't seem to have with the power rings.
One thing that he does have that most Green Lanterns don't is a handgun. He says, I think at one point he says, this has power, but you need to have a backup. So
yeah, he doesn't trust his ring. I think if they address that or something.
Yeah, he carries a gun in the one part of it, I do believe. And then, of course, it turns out that the Manhunter was just a test by Hal Jordan.
The Great.
The Great, yes. Hal Jordan,
dickish.
the Great. I gotta say, he's a real ass in this issue, like, personally. Like,
That's because he's great.
yeah, it's because Hal Jordan's great, really. It's all it is. He's not. He's really not. He's no Guy Gardner.
I hate Guy Gardner.
I love Guy Gardner.
the polarizing effect of Guy Gardner.
I like Kyle Rayner and Hal Jordan.
You like Kyle Rayner because he's a White Lantern.
Yeah.
No, he's just really cool. He actually was really cool as Ion.
Yeah.
I never read that, unfortunately.
So
Go to
Hal,
Fine Trade too.
so Hal shows up. He's a dick simply because he's like, I mean, you guys did terrible. It's like you guys have had no training. Oh wait, Jessica has had no training. She's gotten into a couple fights, but literally no Green Lantern training. Good job. Good job, Hal. And then he's like, you know what? This'll solve it. Give me your lanterns. And then fuses them. And it's like, haha, you have to be together to charge them. It'd really suck if one of you died. Neither of them died, but just see that as a huge problem in the foreseeable future. Powerless on Earth. And then the end of the issue has Atrocitus and Bleeze sitting there talking about what he calls the Red Dawn. And some ominous event, which I am so excited to hear about, because it is the Red Lanterns.
And we all love the Red Lanterns.
We all love the Red Lanterns.
Sinestro Corps is way better, though.
Yeah.
Man, it's like you literally have to disagree with everything we say. It's weird.
Well, that's why I'm so excited for Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps.
That's fair.
Get Hal Jordan and the Sinestro Corps.
So my overall thoughts on the Green Lanterns Rebirth special, I think it's great. I'm not a huge fan of Simon Baz, but I'm totally in favor of Buddy Cop Green Lanterns. I'm going to keep reading it even if we don't continue these podcasts if something happens. Jessica, I am wholeheartedly behind. Not sure why she is the only Green Lantern, well, not the only Green Lantern without a mask, but lots of them don't have masks. But why she has a Green Lantern monocle? Like the Green Lantern with social anxiety, no face mask. Look at me, world.
Maybe the Ring is just trying to push her into the light. Like, hey, why don't you fucking be a Green Lantern now?
Yeah.
Just get out there. Do it.
That's issue 1 there.
Yeah, and then here I have issue 1. This one was written only by Sam Humphries. Oh, I'm sure Jeff Johns told him what to do, but I'm going to give Sam Humphries credit here.
I just believe Jeff Johns tells every writer actually what to write.
Yeah, I believe that as well. He's, kind of the creative guy.
He's just going to end up being Dr. Manhattan, but a real one just for DC Comics.
I like how at the beginning of this, we started off praising Jeff Johns like the god that we think he is, and now he's a bully. Like, we've moved on. You were benevolent, now you're kind of a bully.
So now all the writers for DC are like in a schoolyard, and Jeff Johns is the guy staying on top of the playground. Like, you can come up here.
or he's the gym coach and making them all play dodgeball.
Yeah. But Jeff Johns is also for some reason playing for the one side.
Yeah. We have a lot of weird scenarios. That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm really loving that scenario though now.
Alright, so I also had the distinct pleasure this week this month, of reading the Aquaman Rebirth special. Now, I would have read issue 1 of Aquaman, but we ran into a very similar problem that we did with Flash, in the fact that the people of this town are voracious animals for comics and don't leave scraps behind. So, my first impressions of this was I was really impressed with the art. I actually haven't read a lot of books where Eaton has done the art. I should also mention that it was written by Dan Abnett, who, those of you who are in the know that he was the man who kind of brought back the Guardians of the Galaxy. So, thumbs up for him. I'm actually a fan of the newer Guardians of the Galaxy, but still, they had to get their inspiration somewhere, and Abnett is obviously a strong writer. And I'm glad to see DC bringing him on and giving him a bit more work. Now, my first impressions on this one were, I don't know if it was a color error in our printings, but the beginning of the book, where things are very unclear, the art seems to have less solid lines and be almost more, I don't want to say unfleshed out, but I want to say almost a little more of a faded look, a little less definition as they go through. But as you get closer to the middle and end of the book, where they reveal who the speaker is and what is actually happening in the book, the lines sharpen up and the edges get harder, and the art gets a lot more crisp and stronger contrast. As far as the storyline goes, it's basically told from a point of view of someone who is outside of the main events, just kind of looking at what's happening, talking about who Aquaman is and what he represents. They make mention of the fact that he is the king of Atlantis, therefore the king of all the oceans, which basically gives him a kingdom of 2/3 of the planet. And 97% of the global biosphere. So he's in charge of more life than anyone else on Earth. And they just kind of talk about how over such a vast kingdom, of course there are people who don't trust his rule. In fact, the whole book, he's dealing with this underwater Atlantean terrorist group called the Deluge. And they're basically sort of Atlantean separatists, and they believe that contact with the surface world is weakening Atlantis in general. So, of course, their plan is to go to Boston or Gotham or one of the other major Eastern Seaboard cities and blow it up with fusion bombs, which, of course, great way
Sounds like a great summer party.
Oh, man, it's a great way to ruin a coast. So, of course, Aquaman does his thing, shows up, knocks everyone the hell out. Cleans up their mess.
Does the usual superhero things,
Yeah.
punch people.
I have to admit, though, or not have to admit, but I have to say, Aquaman is one of my favorite heroes these days because he has mastered a technique that I think more superheroes need to master. He is king of the sucker punch. It's shown a little bit in this book where a guy is sort of giving a little bit of a speech. He's just landed, he's about to set off a bomb, and Aquaman cold conks him out of nowhere. A better example of this, of course, would be in the DC animated film Throne of Atlantis, where twice he interrupts a villain in the middle of a speech by either A, having a shark eat him, or B, punching him across the street into a taxi. He is my favorite superhero
Sounds like my
for that
type of
reason.
king.
Yes, king of the sucker punch. But as the story progresses, after he deals with these terrorists, he then goes...
And an Aryan one.
Yes, and an Aryan one. He then goes to his favorite fish and chips seafood restaurant, Sam's, which those of you loyal readers will know is also the place he went in Aquaman #1 for the New 52, where the entire waitstaff and
Said that
clientele
he can't eat fish.
yes, proceeds to make fun of him for eating fish, even though he can talk to fish. And they bring up again in this issue that he does not actually talk to fish. Fish can't hold conversations back. He sort of gives them a suggestion, and they either do it or they resist. And in this, he has lunch with Mira and talks about how he's glad that she's there and that they go over the strategy with their fight they just had. But all the while, the person who's describing it keeps describing how Aquaman is a man who's neither trusted on the surface or who's either feared on the surface or mocked, and he's not quite accepted by his own people. He's a man, I believe the way they put it is he's a man of two worlds but accepted by neither. And then this person begins talking about how that the one light in his life is Mira. The only person that helps him get through all this is his love, Mira, and that his plan is to kill her and then ruin the rest of his life and then kill him. And as they get closer to the end of the book, the lines start to soften again. They kind of make everything a little less defined, a little more hazy, a little more uncertain. So you don't really know the extent of the speaker's plan as he's been revealed to be Black Manta. And I have to say, I'm a big fan of this Black Manta redesign. I think it's a solid suit. And the fact that he's carrying what looks to be just the most badass machete I've ever seen people wield is way up there on my list of things that are cool. So I have to say, overall, I was a big fan of this book. I think Abnett did an amazing job. I'm really liking Eaton's artwork. Unfortunately, I can't really do a review of Aquaman #1 because, again, ravenous comic book monsters. But I'm imagining that as long as it's written the same way, I'm going to be a big fan. I am looking forward to seeing what comes out in this. If I did have any complaints, actually I don't think I have any complaints. Most of this book is really good. There was nothing really that let me down in it. I like the fact that they talk about how much they make fun of him in popular culture, and there's a small scene on a TV where he's squeezing an octopus and talking to a fish with a hat, which just makes the book worth reading. So I definitely recommend this.
One thing to bring up, though, is Jeff Johns did say that Because there's a thing in the Ocean Master one shot from Villains Month, is that Ocean Master will return in Rise of the Seven Kingdoms. And Jeff Johns is returning to Aquaman as a co-writer to write that storyline still.
Oh, good. Well, I will definitely look forward to that.
Because Jeff Johns and stuff.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like they say like, who is the least popular hero we have? And people were like, well, Aquaman. It's like, well, John's like, well, I'll pick that up and we'll see where we go from there. And it ended up actually, I've been able to recommend it to people, which is something I haven't been able to do for quite a while.
All power to the Johns.
Yes, all power to Johns.
Okay. So, Green Lanterns, issue number 1 of Rebirth. Writer Sam Humphries, art Robson Roca. My first impression, like the very first page, is the usual Green Lanterns. Oh my god, willpower. Everyone hold up your rings in the air. For some reason this gives us more power. Or we just look like
a
really...
team chant at like Best Buy.
Yeah, it's like a team chant at any good team or friendship building career center.
I have to point out at this point that both Josh and I worked at Best Buy. And Mark, but also several years apart. I worked there early before the decade change. They worked there after.
I worked like 5 months after Josh left.
I was there about a year, personally.
Enough about our past careers. Wouldn't call them careers.
More like times being places.
Yeah.
And then getting upset with them and then leaving.
So we have Simon Baz and Jessica Cruz streaming across the Arizona desert to investigate a Code 312. Code 312. Can't wait to find out Code 312 is. They are
Space bureaucracy.
Space bureaucracy. Space cops. So they arrive at this shack in the middle of the Arizona desert. And they're like, man, after you, with pleasure. And they bust through the door like any badass Green Lanterns with a literal battering ram. Rings first. Jessica appears to have been practicing her "This is the Green Lantern Corps, give yourself up" speech because she immediately gets shot in the face. She must have been intimidating. The perpetrator is a man with red eyes and a shotgun and a bloody Red Lantern symbol on his chest. I gotta say, at this point, I was all down for it. I love Simon's go-to move with a car battery to the lower jaw as a takeout method because it's just a great picture. Because of all weapons, I wouldn't choose a car battery, but...
I don't know. The number one weapon to use against an assailant is a car battery.
Is it?
In my experience.
I can't count the number of thieves I've taken down with a car battery.
I can. 0.
You can't count to 0.
Okay, Good point. I'll concede this point to you. So, just before Simon takes him out with the car battery, though, the perpetrator, I'm going to call him perpetrator, why not, is talking about some sort of tower that he's made sacrifices and he has to protect the tower. And then the next page is the corpse of an unidentified alien as he has executed said alien. Jessica's puking, which... I just love that she's a rookie to the Green Lantern Corps, and so she is just like she's never experienced these sort of things, and so she's just like, this is too much for me. Like,
well, she wasn't like Guy Gardner, who was a cop in his previous life.
Yeah,
she wasn't like Hal Jordan, who was a pilot in his previous life, a test pilot, or Stewart, who served in the Marines in his previous life. She was a normal chick. Like, she didn't have this experience dealing with horrors.
Or Kyle Rayner, who, right after becoming a Green Lantern, saw his girlfriend stuffed in a fridge.
Yes, but of course that was from the age of comics where...
everyone had to have a terrible, terrible life.
Yeah, and then after that, it literally didn't matter. It was like, issue 93, white girlfriend in a fridge, issue 94, let's go for ice cream.
That sounds like a great title. I'll read that. Issue 94, girlfriend in a fridge. Issue 95, let's go for ice cream. Sounds like a Batman title.
Yeah, right.
Where the Joker is just
Oh, that's a Joker title all day.
Alright, so they find more bodies of missing people in the assailant's basement. All of the cops show up, there's medical, everything's going on, and then all of the victims' families show up, and they are just angry. They want revenge, and all of a sudden, all of their eyes start glowing like the assailant, and they want justice, they want revenge, and all of a sudden there's a piercing scream, sort of like not a piercing scream.
Deafening sound.
Sort of like a heartbeat. It's like a heartbeat.
Thundering heartbeat.
Thundering heartbeat. There we go. That's a much better description of it. And all of a sudden, Jessica covers them in a shield, and a tower arises from where the shack was.
It's an impressive looking tower.
It is like it's made of flesh, I believe, and bone, and it reminds me. What's the Red Lantern's homeworld? Yasmalt. It reminds me of like that landscape, the look of the tower.
The sort of blasted landscape with the big blood lake.
Yeah. Like I think it's a great visual. Like I have nothing bad to say about it. Like the art in this is great. And then immediately Argus shows up. Yeah, it's Argus. And they're saying like, this is Earth. It's ours. And so, yeah.
Like they're quarantining it?
Yeah, they're quarantining it.
They're taking over jurisdiction and just
hopping
around.
Yeah. She says if you don't leave, you have 5 seconds to leave or I'm calling down bring the force of the entire federal government upon you. Which for rookie Green Lanterns is probably terrifying as shit.
Yeah, I'd find that pretty terrifying.
I have a whole intergalactic space corps with me.
Well,
they can't even charge their
We have the
rings.
Justice League.
That's fair. I'm pretty sure the Justice League could take out at least half the Green Lantern Corps.
We got Batman.
But they were devastated after the events of the New 52 Green Lantern stuff.
The Green Lanterns are devastated after every event.
No, Jeff Johns didn't have them that devastated. It was after Jeff Johns they started getting picked off all the place.
Yeah, it's like
they went from like 3,600 or they went from 7,200 members to like.
Because Wrath of the First Lantern was like dangerous to the whole universe, but the Corps was like, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't need to worry about that.
But then Lights Out. They just started wiping people out everywhere.
Lights Out killed off the entire Blue Lantern Corps, except for like Shane Walker, but he wasn't a Blue Lantern anymore.
Well, by the end of it he was. Not by Lights Out, but by the end of the interview he was. Yeah, enough about Shane Walker.
And then the end of the issue is with Atrocitus and Bleeze. Apparently she was in charge on Earth there, and it's her fuck up why what does he call it? The protect the Hell Tower. It was her job to protect the Hell Tower, and that the Red Dawn is coming, and the Red Lanterns will never die. Apparently they're dying slowly. Red Lanterns, you know.
Well, when your blood turns to lava, your life expectancy is probably very short.
It's then shown to us that Simon Baz has the ability of Emerald Sight, which I believe is some sort of like he sees the future.
Yeah,
it's
new. He's the only Green Lantern to have had it.
Yeah,
I can't talk anymore.
Lysira Dark had it for the Yellow Lantern. She had something else though. She could scry the future as well, and she kept the book of the Yellow, and then eventually she took it upon her skin.
Oh,
so
each
core with like yellow writing all over her.
Each core sometimes has a member who can kind of see the future a little bit.
Prophet, I guess.
Yeah, so Simon Baz is I guess their first green prophet.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of cool.
Has the Orange ever had one?
The Orange only has one member, and he's too fucking insane to have any other power.
He probably has it, he just doesn't realize it.
What he'll probably do is see Simon Baz have the power and go, oh, I want that, and then all of a sudden he'll have it. Freaking life, please.
And then the very end of the issue is Atrocitus saying only one lantern will survive, the other will fall. The Earth will succumb to the power of the Red Dawn.
Whatever that is.
Whatever that is, yeah, exactly. Whatever that is. And the picture of is Atrocitus standing above the heads of both Jessica Cruz and Simon Baz. So, like, I'm
Like
totally...
the red constructs, I think,
Yeah, it's Red Constructs, yeah. So whatever this Red Dawn is, I'm Red Lantern crazy for me, so I love it. Whatever's gonna happen, I'm all for it.
Oh yeah, I look forward to reading that eventually.
So if I had to say anything that I was not so happy with in this issue, it would be the inclusion of Argus.
I don't like Argus either.
Yeah, no, Argus is not really my cup of tea. I understand why they're there.
I understand that as well.
They didn't really show up. Like, they showed up in Forever Evil a little bit here and there from time to time, but they never really had a role to play. And I guess they kind of want to show that, hey, we as Earthlings also have something. We can do something.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I guess that's why they're
Usually
bringing
superheroes just ignore them.
Yeah.
It's true, though.
Argus? Yep. Let's go over there.
All right. So what do we got next?
So, I guess I'll just do a quick run through from Flash. You get it? Run through Flash. Terrible.
A little
You're
late there.
really bad at this.
A little late there. A little late.
So in the Flash, it just it's like takes place during the same time as all this the Rebirth special was taking place. So it just it shows from what Barry was doing. So he goes to a crime scene that was very similar to his parents. And while he's there, he kind of has like this Speed Force vision, and it shows
So he sees the future as well?
no.
Sometimes the Speed Force shows him stuff.
Oh, okay.
It was more like a warning to him, like something bad's about to happen.
Like a
'cause he
premonition, sort of?
Yeah. I think it shows. I think it shows Wally. Then it shows the Reverse Flash, which is Daniel West. I think, and then it shows other one, which was Professor Zoom, and then it shows the new villain named Godspeed saying that I'm going to kill you all. And then it just cuts to the detective, the captain, or whatever. Like, it's like, hey, what's wrong, Barry? And he's like, nothing. And later he hears, I think there's like some trouble going around downtown or something. So he goes and runs to go see what's going on there, and then gets interrupted by Wally West and the whole thing where it's like,
Where he remembers
Yeah.
Wally and brings him back from the Speed
Which-
Force.
we forgot to talk about that scene because that's like the best scene in all of that Rebirth special.
That is true.
Where it shows Wally West, like, he's giving up, he's like, I know you don't remember me, but I want to like thank you, kind of thing.
Yeah. This is hello and goodbye.
Yeah.
That line right there, the way he's delivered it, the
Yeah.
way it's written, it's just so... It's such a powerful line, and the scene is just great. Like, I remember describing this to people and describing that part, and it's just ridiculous.
And it's like, and then Barry looks really confused, and then his like eyes wide, and he's like, Wally, and then he like reaches out really fast, and then pulls him to reality, and you can just see like this, like how sad the Flash was for forgetting him, because of the Flashpoint, he never met Wally West, that Wally West, so he's like so sad, and he has all his memories of that back. And it's just very touching.
Yeah. So the scene opens up, the Speed Force explodes around Barry, and it's Wally's narrating it, and he says, "It's time to let the past go, Wally." And he appears before Barry, and he goes, "Barry, you don't know who I am, and you won't remember, so this is hello and goodbye." Then he just basically runs through and says, "Hey, you need to know these things. You need to talk to Batman about this stuff." And then he realizes that he's dying. He's like, there's no more time. I'm out of time. This is it. He's like, "Barry, thank you for an amazing life." And just as he's starting to fade away, he also has all the inspiration, I guess, as he's starting to fade away, he says, "Every second was a gift. That's why I won't die in anguish. I'll go with love in my heart. Goodbye, Barry." And as he starts to fade away for the last time, Barry kind of snaps to him, and he goes, "Wally," and he grabs him, and literally using all of his will and force and everything, rips Wally from the Speed Force and just apologizes to him. I'm sorry, I forgot. I'm sorry, I don't remember. I'm sorry about everything that happened. And the scene is just so touching and so powerful. Like, I'm not a man who gets worked up about stuff like this, but this scene was really powerful, and I think it's right up there with the death of Wolverine and very few other scenes in comics where it's actually had an emotional response. And I think that a lot of people, especially people who are newer to comics, who didn't realize they could have that kind of thing, will be very pleasantly surprised by that.
I think the last time I felt like a connection for the comic book like that was actually at the end of the Jeff Johns Green Lantern one. It was the last splash page, and it's talking about Hal Jordan and how he was the spark that ignited like the everlasting fire.
Yeah.
Of, like,
and that's one thing too, is you can tell that Johns really loves these characters. Like you brought up the issue 20 of Green Lantern, which basically the entire issue, after about the halfway point, was really just
off, like, the main
when it finishes off the story, it's basically just one big long love letter to Hal Jordan and how much Jeff Johns loves writing the character and loves everything that's all about that character. I think it's awesome. I think that it's good to see a comic book writer put that kind of emotion into his books and acknowledge that he's had this connection with these characters for this long. I think it's awesome.
But yeah, for the Flash, it continues a bit after that. So like after Barry rescues Wally from the Speed Force, they have like a conversation on what's going on, and so like Wally tells him, he's like, you need to go talk to Batman and all that, and we need to figure out some of this stuff, and then I need to go find the others that he's referring to are the Teen Titans, and before they leave, they have a conversation, and it's about Wally West not being the Kid Flash because he's in like his Kid Flash uniform and all that, and it's like you're not Kid Flash, you're the Flash, and then he gets like his new Flash suit, which is like this dark crimson and has like some silver lightning and stuff. Looks really cool.
This is Wally getting a new suit?
Yeah. Barry still has this kind of classic looking New 52 suit with the lightning all over.
Yeah.
But so Wally West goes and does that thing, which is continued in Titans, which I only did like a quick look through because I thought Rory was going to be here.
We can touch up on it next time.
Yeah.
We'll touch up on that one next time.
Yeah, the next time we do this, we'll have Rory here. Supposedly got to kidnap him.
Yeah.
You do not endorse kidnapping.
So
Much.
I think because I also I gave a quick look through the Flash number 1. I'm not sure if I remember this from that or this is the ending of the Rebirth one, but Barry and Batman have this conversation, and it's like Barry's like, oh, we should go tell the Justice League about this pin you found, which is at the end of Rebirth, where he finds the comedian's pin with the bloodstain on it, and tell them about like all this other stuff that's happened. And then Batman's like, well, we don't really have anything to go on. We really don't know what's going on. This is just a pin. And these are just people that we just apparently just met too. So we need to figure out what's going on, and then we can talk to them. So that Batman and the Flash are going to be working on this mystery like by themselves.
We have your best detective and your best forensics guy together. That's a buddy cop I'd watch. I want to see a Batman Flash movie.
That'd be sick, actually.
It'd be a really good movie.
So, I really like the Flash. The art was a bit weird. The lightning effects and stuff on it looked amazing, but it was more like the characters' like faces and their clothes and stuff kind of looked odd. But it wasn't too bad. It was something I could get past. Might grow on me eventually.
That's one of the things that I really dislike. I hate when you find a book that's so well written but you just can't get past the art. Miller,
like most Grant Morrison stuff, because I hate what's his face. He did the Jupiter series, at least the covers for them.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I just can't remember his name.
He also did All-Star Superman's art. Which
you mean Frank Quietly?
Frank Quietly, yeah. Quietly or whatever.
He did JLA too.
Yeah.
Which
like All-Star Superman was fine. It worked for that. but
Yeah.
like I was
Well,
trying to read New
Superman-
X-Men, and it was bad.
Yeah,
It was bad.
in All-Star Superman, it kind of gave him more of a, kind of gave him a softer
Yeah.
vibe, because that's kind of the thing, is a lot of writers tend to write artists tend to have him as this, like, really hard-edged guy who's just really nice. But Frank Quietly's art kind of lent more to that, hey, Superman is a chum kind of guy.
Yeah.
Which is how he was written a lot more, I guess, in the 60s.
Yeah. It was more.
Because in the 30s, he was kind of a
age.
jerk.
Yeah.
He used to destroy tenements because he believed crime was bred there.
But
Did he?
Yeah, there's a scene in some of the really, really early Superman where he just destroys low-income housing because crime keeps popping up there. He like just demolishes the neighborhood. Early Superman didn't really understand how society worked.
Avery, are you going to talk about Action Comics and Detective, or do you just want to let
I wish I could, guys, but
Okay.
I don't even read DC as much as you guys, and I feel like I'm nothing.
So
That's
we're just
great.
going to let Rory talk
Yeah.
about his next
We'll
time.
we'll catch up with Rory on the next one, and you'll hear a whole lot of Rory. We'll get him to do all of his stuff, and then we'll continue
So,
on with
Do
our
I have
stuff.
anything next month? I don't. I
I'm
think I
not
have
sure,
Green
but-
Lanterns number 2.
Well,
Yeah.
You'll have 2 books of Green Lanterns, because
No, I read the other one.
no. What I mean is, all of the things that have this lovely little rebirth on the bottom have all gone to bi-weeklies.
Yeah.
So I'll have 2 Batmans, you'll have 2 Green Lanterns, you'll have a Hal Jordan and a Hal Jordan, and I'll have 2 more friggin' Aquaman. And maybe this time I'll actually be able to read The Flash.
How about you just read Batgirl as well?
Yeah, isn't
I'm going to
Batgirl
read
fun?
Batgirl, but you can just put your opinion on it.
Oh yeah, I was going to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why this is kind of a forum thing, is we all chime in a little bit.
And okay, the last one we have for today then is Wonder Woman, which I read, which is written by Greg Rucka. I don't know who did the art. They're awesome though.
I love Austin. He does great work.
The store ran out of Wonder Woman, unfortunately, because
Again.
for some reason,
Voracious comic book monsters.
yeah, it's like all 3 of them that I didn't expect to go like off the shelves. It was like Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and the Flash, and then we still have like Detective Comics.
It was weird. Because
But then Action Comics goes.
Yeah,
Action Comics was weird because I could barely get rid of that during the New 52. People were like, oh, Action's cool. And I mean, it did have some good storylines, it had some really cool stuff. But then all of a sudden, Rebirth Action comes out. I order like 5 or 6 more copies than I normally order, and it's gone in a day. Yet I only order 5 more copies of Detective, and I still have the original Detectives on the shelf. Who knows?
and so Greg Rucka, who wrote Wonder Woman, I think in like the mid 2000s, who apparently was like really awesome, but I think him and DC had like a bit of an argument over something. I think he was like, supposed to write Wonder Woman Earth 1, and then they were like, no, we're gonna go with Grant Morrison.
Well, he also was writing for Marvel for a little while as well, because he did a short run on Wolverine.
Yeah, so, but now he's back with DC and doing Wonder Woman. Like, I think that's what he does. Just Wonder Woman. But the Rebirth issue goes over like her origin story and how it's really convoluted, because there's the whole thing where it's like she's made of clay, and then it's like, never mind, that was a lie. She's actually
Yeah.
Does it address her brother?
there's like a little bit about it. It's like, and because I think that's near the end, where
and
she's like talking about like, I don't know what's right, like what's true and what's false. Apparently, I have a brother, and yeah, and it just kind of just goes over. It's like she actually doesn't know what her history is.
It's gotta suck for a character like that.
Yeah, it's like she doesn't know what's true and what's not anymore. and her
She
last
is the
show
god
doesn't
of
tell
war,
her.
right?
Apparently not either.
She's not that either?
So what Mark and Josh are referring to is in the New 52, at the beginning, they talk about her original origin story, which is that she was made of clay and then was breathed life into by Zeus.
No, it was
No.
Athena, I think, or something.
Yeah, okay, it was Athena. Anyway, they rewrote that origin story in the New 52 to say that she's actually the daughter of Zeus, and her mother, I can't remember her mother's name.
And Zeus.
Yeah, but she was also the queen of the, Hippolyta, the queen of the Amazons. So in the New 52, she was not only Wonder Woman, she's also a demigod. And then the God of War thing is later on, War, in this case, who is now an old southern man, By the way, awesome concept on him. He's
Yeah.
so good.
I think the artist actually looked at Brian Azzarello and just drew Brian Azzarello as War.
Brian Azzarello was also the writer on the book at the time. And then when War dies, he bestows the mantle. The person who kills War gets his title and some of his powers.
And at the moment, the first son was like, "I'm going to kill you," and then Wonder Woman stabs him in the back, being like, "Not this time."
Yeah, and kills War in order to prevent the first son from
fulfilling the prophecy.
In order to prevent war?
Well, in order to stop the first son from being a huge dick, more so.
Yeah. He wasn't already.
Mm-hmm.
So she is neither a god.
She doesn't know anymore.
She just doesn't know. Okay, so we're not clear.
Because apparently she was lied to about being the god of war. Because like she has like this helmet that's supposed to be like Ares' helmet, but she would be able to destroy it, and she just crushes it like it's nothing. And she's like, "I've been lied to." And then like the end of the issue is her wanting to find answers, and then it goes into the first issue where it's only she's looking for answers.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
She's hired Batman.
So she goes
great with answers.
She goes to like this kingdom that's inhabited by these hyena things that she's
Is this where the Joker got his laughing ones?
No.
Oh man, I gotta read Wonder Woman. This sounds great.
These hyena things. I don't remember what Steve Trevor was doing, but he was off doing his own thing. It wasn't too important to it.
Ring
at the
shit.
moment, anyway. At the moment, anyways. I don't remember though. But mostly the important stuff's with Wonder Woman. She's going to this kingdom that has these hyena things that she keeps telling them, like, "I just need to talk to your like leader," and then they just keep attacking her. Eventually, she gets there, and it turns out that their leader is Cheetah, and she's trying to team up with her so she can find the answers. It is really good. The art's amazing. I found very interesting. Got me hooked. I'm definitely going to read it. Wasn't a big Wonder Woman fan before the New 52. New 52 one brought me right in, and now I'm just like on board with like everything Wonder Woman apparently.
I own all of the New 52 Wonder Woman, but I have yet to start reading it.
I'm on volume, I want to say 4 or 5 of it at the moment.
I just need to wait for the last few trades to come out. I'm on trade 8 now. But yeah, it's really good. Some people were saying that it's like kind of slow at the start, but I think it's going to pick up a lot more after. Like right when you get to see Cheetah, it's like that's a good hook, and that they need to team up kind of thing. Like she needs answers from her arch enemy. I think that's a good.
What is Cheetah's look in the new one?
Oh yeah, she kind of looks like what's that female Thundercat?
Oh,
she looks like one of the Thundercats.
To be fair, I only know 2 of the Thundercats, and neither one of them are the one you're talking about. I know Lion-O, and I know Snarf.
Everyone knows Snarf.
Snarf.
I only know Snarf from Robot Chicken, I believe.
It looks like one of the female like Thundercats.
See, you say that, and now because I only know 2 Thundercats, I'm picturing like Snarf in a bikini. So thanks for that, Mark.
Is she wearing an outfit, or is she just...
You only see a close-up of her face.
Oh, okay.
Because she gets like tackled from behind, and then it goes like a close-up, and it's like Cheetah's face and then Wonder Woman's face. And it's just Wonder Woman's like, "I need your help," kind of thing. I think people need to give Wonder Woman more of a chance. She's really interesting.
Well, and I mean, the character, I thought that too. Like, I'm like, I don't really want to read Wonder Woman too much. And then I started reading the Azzarello of Wonder Woman, and this is really solidly written.
Top 5 favorite superheroes, so.
Yeah, she's amazing. And just to throw this out there, we're not only doing DC. It's just that we started with DC because they made a really good jumping on point. We'll probably end up talking a little more about Marvel later when they start doing.
We might try doing more podcasts. Maybe we'll have a week where we do the previous month of Marvel, and then do one where it's.
We might discuss Civil War, or we might just pick storylines as well. It might just be easier to pick a big storyline event like End of X or the Apocalypse Wars or Civil War or something along like that, and be able to do that.
When Civil War ends, we'll probably just read all of it and then have like a podcast discussing on the like consequences of it and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So probably do that.
Is this a good?
Yeah, we'll probably call it a day here.
Fair enough.
So,
well, once again, listeners, this has been our
all
podcast.
2 of you.
Yes, all 2 of you.
Oh man, you guys think we're gonna get 2 people listening?
Tell 2 friends.
It's a pyramid scheme. Tell 2 friends. And they tell 2 friends.
That's like 8 people right there. But yeah,
it's 5 actually.
So yeah, this has been us. Once again, my name is Mike. I was reading Batman, Aquaman, and helping to discuss DC Universe Rebirth.
I am Josh, of course, the most handsome one, but you of course know that by my voice. On this week was on Green Lanterns and the Rebirth special.
And I'm Mark. I had Superman and Wonder Woman. And I've also read that Rebirth thing, I guess.
Mark, of course, being the second most handsome.
No, I'd say I'm the most handsome. But
okay,
that's up for debate.
That's a debate for another day.
There's only enough ego in this podcast for me.
Well, we haven't heard if Rory thinks he's the most handsome. By the way, voice not found.
Voice not found.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, thanks for listening, and
See you next time.
Goodbye. Bye. 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 Bye.